Now discuss about endemic species. Endemic species, that means species population unique to given area. That means one of the species population available in particular area, particular region, particular locality. That is called that is the species is endemic to that place only. These are called endemic species. Okay, these are the species individuals not available on all the localities, all places, all regions. Okay, that is about endemic species. Species that is unique to given area, given region. Next, under latitudinal gradient in diversity. Okay, student, latitudinal gradient in diversity. Latitudes, already you know it is the distance from the equator. Okay, latitude gradient in diversity. What about the position of the biodiversity in latitudes and in the equator, region of the equator on the earth? Biodiversity is not uniform throughout the world. Okay, biodiversity is not uniform. Particular areas biodiversity is rich, but in particular area biodiversity is less amount of the species are available in some areas. Next, terrestrial diversity increases from poles to the equator. Students, if you observe from the poles, polar regions shows the less amount of the biodiversity, and if you observe equator regions shows the high amount of the biodiversity. High amount of the biodiversity means most amount of the different animals, different plants are available, different species are available. Next, vast majority of species concentrated in tropics and subtropical regions. Students, if you observe tropical regions and subtropical regions, tropics, these are the particular areas on the earth. Tropics, subtropical regions shows much amount of the biodiversity. Species, most amount of the species is concentrated in that regions. Next, localities at lower latitudes have more species than higher latitudes. Students, lower latitudes, these are near to the equator. Okay, if you observe, lower latitudes have the much amount of the biodiversity than the higher altitudes. Next, tropics have more species than temperate or polar areas. Tropics have better environment to species. Species are much amount of the species are most amount of the biodiversity is available in tropics than temperate areas or polar areas. Okay, student. Next, the tropical Amazon rainforest in South America. Amazon rainforest present in South America has greatest biodiversity on the earth. On the earth surface, a lot amount of the biodiversity is available in Amazon rainforest in South America. Student, it is the data given some amount of the biodiversity. Okay, in this three columns are there. First one is place, number of species of birds, it is in second column, and latitude, region of the latitude. Student, Colombia, it is near to the equator. Colombia, 14,000 species of birds are there at the region Colombia. Place, if you observe New York and birds, number of species of birds, 105 birds are there. 105 different species of birds, different types of the birds. Greenland, 56 species of birds are available. Okay, these are the latitudes, measurement of latitudes in these regions. Next, reasons for greater biodiversity in the tropics. Tropics shows greater biodiversity. What are the reasons for greater biodiversity available in tropics? In this first one, there are three reasons. First one is tropical latitudes have relatively undisturbed for million of years. From the million of years, these are the tropical areas or tropical latitudes are undisturbed. Biodiversity available in that regions, species richness, much amount of the different species available in these regions. These are undisturbed. There is no disturbance to the species individuals, to the animals, to the plants. So it leads to much amount of the biodiversity in these regions. Thus had a long evolutionary time. Next, as long duration was available in this region for speciation. Speciation means generation of the species, evaluation of the species. Much amount of the species are generated. Okay. Next, it leads to species diversification. Next, second one, tropical climates relatively more constant than the temperate regions. Okay, students, in this climate in these regions, tropics in the region of the tropics, climate is constant, which is favorable for the growth and the development of the speciation, and it is advantage for the growth of the development of the formation of the new species individuals. And constant environment is also available in these regions. It promotes the niche specialization. Niche specialization, that means niche, ecological niche. That means, students, organisms are present in the ecosystem, and these are shows interaction and shows the behavior and the response to the other organisms, and also with the surrounding environment area. What is the position of the organisms in particular ecosystem with their another organisms and also with the surrounding environment? What about the position of the species population in particular ecological system, ecological region or ecosystem? That is called niche specialization. If you observe one of the forest, in the forest tigers are there. What about the behavior of the tigers? What about the position of the tigers? What about the response of the tiger with their another organisms, another living animals, another also with the surrounding environment, surrounding area? That is called niche specialization to that tigers only. Okay, student. Next, and the third one, solar energy resources like water available in abundance. Abundant amount of the solar energy, and at the same time water is also available in these tropics. Okay, it also gives to higher productivity of food production. This also leads to greater the amount of the diversity in the tropics. These are three reasons are favorable for the living organisms and leads to the greater biodiversity in these regions.